I've invited a very dear friend of mine. Her name is Charline.
I've been divorced for 8 years now. The lawyer said, "So you're here for a divorce?" And he said, yes.
Once everybody has a hand in your issue, that has an impact.
Yes, they're getting healthier. Yes, they're doing the workout. Yes, they're doing all this. But how are they feeling inside?
I was wrecked.
Those unspoken words will haunt you
For the rest of your life.
What I regret is not having the tools.
Size yourself up before you get into this relationship.
Put that on the table.
Marriage is no joke, and divorce,
We can't take this decision lightly.
I came to a point during those proceedings where I was like, I don't care if I come out of this with $0, as long as I come out, because I need it. I need to heal. I need to be renewed.
You need the peace.
I need peace. I need to be alive.
Exactly.
And even for the children, like you mentioned, for your daughter, first off, I just want to say, because I know you personally, I think even through this hard situation, I love that you both are in your daughter's life. Even if you're not together, your daughter knows both her parents. She spends time with both her parents. Equally and lovingly.
Lovingly.
She is loved, and you feel that.
And it's not only that, like I told you, and it's an advice that I give every person, man and woman, when you divorce. The key thing that I told myself that I will stand on is that I will always love this man for the rest of my life. And everything I do will be based out of the fact that I loved him. And it's to find a way to love him differently. Now I love him as a brother. Literally, I really feel like he's the brother I always wanted and never had. I have brothers, but they're not the brothers I wanted. But he's the brother I always wanted. And that love transferred to
Fraternal love and a friendship too.
and a friendship too. I did it not for me, because I'll be very honest and very blunt. If we did not have a child, I would have part ways, never talked to him again, I would be done. But for my daughter, she deserved it. She deserved for me to look in my heart and tell myself, I love this man. I cannot act out of, he's an awful person, he's this, he's that. So I was constantly focused, like I'm doing in this podcast. You know people I don't like, okay? You do.
I do.
I find good things. Like one person I don't like in particular that she's the most courageous person I've ever seen. She's an entrepreneur. She is fierce. She steps on what she believes in. But I still don't like.
That's the thing. I think what you're saying is important, is that love doesn't have to be strictly romantic, even after divorce.
Exactly.
Even though you've built a life with that person, you can love that person from a distance. I think that's what the Bible asks us to do. It asks us to love, to love our neighbors, to love our enemies, to love our friends, to love our family, to love the people that are around us, to love this world. So I think that this is what it taught you. And I love that for you. You have a beautiful daughter. I have 3 sons.
Beautiful sons.
Thank you. And, one of the things that kept me in the marriage for the longest time was that feeling of thinking, oh, I have children. What about the children? I was a mom with a child from a previous relationship, with 2 children in a marriage. And I did not want to start over again. And I didn't think that it was a good look for me or for the children either. Like, I didn't want to go start another relationship and then my children to have like yet another sibling that doesn't have the same dad. And especially my situation, I didn't tell my youngest that they didn't share the same dad as my oldest for the longest time. Actually, it took the situation for me to tell them, because they didn't even know about it. So I think, I thought I was doing this for the children, but the kids know when it's not going well. They can sense when they're in a toxic environment. And to be honest, that may affect them more than actually staying. And that needs to be taken into consideration. Like, to be able to recognize that our kids are smart enough. Whatever environment we're providing for them, this is what they are growing up in. So we really want to think twice before either staying or leaving.
Or leaving, yeah.
Both of them have to be weighed heavily. And in my case scenario, the best thing for my children was to leave. And this is why, for me, I wanted them to have a role model. And like, I know that going to my parents' house was the move for me, because they would go into a familiar environment. They knew I have a big family. They have a lot of cousins. So going back to my dad's church was important to me because of my children. Going back to my dad's house so they could see my father, who's a man of prayer, who loves the Lord, who loves his family, who serves his family. I wanted them to see what that looks like. And so that's why for me it was important for them to be in that environment. And that's why I brought them there. And it has done them a lot of good. So we have an impact on our children's life, whether it's positive or negative, to stay or leave. It has an impact. One of the things I was afraid was about me, because I didn't want to look a certain way. But it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, this situation impacted me and my children. And it had effects afterwards. I had to pay that cost as well. For my family, it had impacts on my relationship with my children. So that's something that you really have to think about. If how your situation is going to impact your children. In your situation, you feel a lot of the guilt because you weren't able to provide a home for your daughter, and yet you are. You
Yeah,
are
I am.
providing
I
a home
am.
for your daughter. She has two loving parents that are highly involved in her life. And I felt guilt for leaving because I didn't want to start over. I didn't want my kids to have other siblings with another dad. And yet I needed to leave because whatever they were growing in was toxic and it wasn't healthy for them. There's some situations where if he's not picking up after himself and this is really bothering you, you know, there's some, you have to weigh the situation because there's a cost. There's an emotional cost, there's a financial cost. It costs you financially greatly, and it cost me as well, because I had to sell both my houses. I had to go back to my parents' house. I literally started over.
You know that saying when they say the grass is not greener? It's partially true. It's partially true in the way where I think people often nowadays use each other and throw each other to the garbage very easily because they see that there's access to other people. And there's access to such and everyone,
wide world.
yeah, and everyone's working out, everyone's looking good, you're just and everyone's talking on Instagram as if they're the best person in the world. So you tell yourself there's probably something better out there, and that's a word I hate, better, because you don't have to look for somebody better because there's no better. There's only the person for you.
What's right?
What's right for you. What you're in, and you're able to break and repair and break and repair and go forward, go backwards and come back. That's what you have to look for. That's what you have to tell yourself, and not tell yourself, I deserve better. You don't deserve anything.
Actually, nothing. We don't deserve anything.
Nothing.
At all.
So you don't deserve better. You deserve to work on what you have. We talk nowadays a lot about language of love. We talk about physical touch and act of service and everything else. And when I was leaving my husband, this was a huge subject that just came out. It was a new trend, language of love. And I got caught up in it and realized that my ex-husband didn't understand my language.
Right.
Me personally, my language is physical touch and gifts. And he is a very not physical person. Right. He will never touch you. My threat to him is, if you do not do this, I'll kiss you in public. He hated physical touch, and he wasn't the kind of giving gifts at all. And I put this on him so much. And then I got in a relationship after him, and that person, gifts. Every day I got gifts. I have so many gifts at home, I cannot count. Touch, he would touch me all the time. But it was the worst relationship I've ever had.
Wow.
I wanted to die inside of me. It was horrible. But yet the love language stuff was there.
Right.
So I
Almost
pushed.
like it was toxic.
Exactly. I think that people get caught up in, I need to heal. I need all those trendy,
Trends.
yeah,
They get caught
toxic,
up in trends.
the love languages, and they get caught up in those theories that are not untrue. But
They're not everything.
they're not everything. And there are words that are set for therapists that know where to place them. We do not know as an individual where to place them correctly. And I was caught up in that new trend of love language. And again, I'm excluding people who lived what you lived, who are in violent home and living, like me, it wasn't physical violence, and it wasn't to the extreme of your psychological violence. But I wasn't well where I was, and he wasn't. He definitely wasn't well in what we were in. But I think you have to give that opportunity, like I said from the beginning, putting everything on the table.
Put it all on the table.
Put it all on the table before you take it, and have a good support group.
Yes.
Like go to therapy.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Go to group therapy. Go to individual therapy. Go to one-on-one. Like do the work.
Yes.
Before you say, you know what, I'm done.
Yes.
We are done.
Yes.
Know that you have done
everything in your power.
everything that you in. Another thing that's very, it takes two, because you can't be the only one working. No. You can't be the only one looking for therapists, going to therapy, finding people to talk, finding pastors. You can't be the only one. If you're the only one and you're trying, at least you could tell yourself. And that's what I could do. What allows me to not regret my marriage is that I'm able to say, I did it. I tried the therapist. I did it all.
Same.
I called your dad. I called your dad. I went all the way to call your dad. And we took an appointment. He did not come. I could say
that you've done everything.
I've done everything.
As, human beings, there's a cost to every decisions we make. But when you choose to partner with someone, it's important to size yourself and your partner up before, because you're going into a lifetime with this person, and that will greatly impact you. It'll impact your future, your decision making. But then when you decide to break this off, make sure that you have done everything, because it comes at a cost that you're still paying right now. Till this day, you still feel the guilt. I am at peace with my decision. And I have no regrets about, being married, and becoming the person that I became.
You became a wonderful woman because you went through all of that and was able to come out of it. But not only that, you were with friends that were able to tell you, get out. Yes. You were able, not just get out, like,
this is not normal.
This is not normal.
This is not. You see, you spoke about violence, and I was aching in my body, because I'm like, I still have an issue with recognizing that I lived some abuse. Like, I still have issues identifying as a victim. I'm still struggling with that. But yes, you're totally right. And this is why I want to say it again. It's important to size yourself up before you get into the marriage. I've gone through a lot of trauma that I didn't even recognize was trauma until years later. Before getting into the marriage, I was broken. And I just did not recognize how much. This is why it's important to go to therapy, to seek for help, to have a community. And I'm grateful for that community, because even throughout these years, although you respected me and my marriage, you still had the ability to tell me, yo, this is not normal. What you're going through is not normal. You need to rethink this. And when I was ready, I did. And when I was ready, I made the steps that I needed. But that transparency of that community, my friends, and I always loved being around people that are frank and direct, which is why we're friends. Which is one of the reasons why you're
Every day I'm like, how is she still friends with me?
but a lot of my friends are like that. I love that, and I wish I was like that. You're able to tell me the truth, so that saved me in a sense. So surround yourself with people that have your back. With a community, like, I know it's not always nice to hear the truth, and it's not nice to look at yourself in the mirror sometimes, but surround yourself with people that will tell it to you like it is. You need to have that. And this is just a start. We're just starting a conversation here.
Exactly.
Everybody's going through their problems. There's growth, there are changes in a marriage, in life. But the worst thing you can do to yourself is not talk about it, hide it, and then pretend like everything is okay, because this is where you're going to suffer alone. The guilt is going to kill you.
Exactly.
It's a slow death.
Uh-huh.
Guilt is a slow death. And I just did not understand how much it was killing me inside. So we need to talk about it. We need to be open about it. We want to hear from you. Even people that are married, you're going through some stuff. Especially people that are married, you're going through some stuff.
Like, I'll interrupt by saying, even if you're not going through stuff, you're in your honeymoon phase, you're talking with people who are divorced, and not being afraid of that word. Do not be afraid of that word, because when you're living the turmoil, you'll be like, yeah, I remember I spoke to Charlene, and Charlene told me this could happen, and I don't want to get divorced, and this is what I should do. Because divorced people don't want you to get divorced, because it's so painful.
Please understand that. Yes.
I believe very firmly that unmarried people would want you to divorce, but people who are divorced do not want this to their best enemy. So you need to talk to them, because they want to make sure that you stay married and that you stay happy. And there are people who are bitter, but there are people that are not bitter, that believe in marriage.
I strongly believe in marriage. I believe that we can make it work. I think every situation is different. And we're proof of that.
Yeah.
Every situation is different, but ultimately, we are a community. So we're here for each other. We need to help each other out. This is how we thrive. If you're by yourself trying to build this house, it's going to take you forever. You might build it, but it's going to take you forever. If you have people that come and help you build this house or this life, this is how you make it. So I think talking is the first step, which is why it was important for me to do this, because like that transparency, I craved it. At that point, I craved to have people that would just tell it to me like it is. And even right now, as I'm going through life, I'm constantly trying to hold myself accountable to the people around me to say, like, am I tripping? Like, am I doing this right? I'm constantly questioning myself. So the main takeaway that we want to leave you with is talk about it. Be open about it. Even if, it's uncomfortable. Size yourself up, like really analyze the reasons for why you want to leave this, because when you leave and when you start these proceedings and people are
depicting,
they're going at your life, and there's nothing that stays hidden. Everything comes out on the table. So whatever ugliness that you had hidden underneath those sheets or whatever it is, it's coming out. Everything is coming out. Everything is on the table. People are picking your life apart and making decisions in your life. It's ugly. Divorce is ugly, but it might be necessary. It might be the way. But you have to do the work beforehand, because you don't want to carry that guilt. You don't want to carry regrets. You have to make sure that this is really the route. Like, I personally, and you just said it as well, I personally don't want divorce for anybody. I don't think it's the way. I think it might be a way for some situations. But it definitely came to me at a cost. I think I needed to do it. I think I'm an exception. I think you're an exception. But I don't. I think that there's beautiful couples that are married that can work their situation out. And I love love. I
I love
want them
love.
to succeed. I want marriages to succeed because I think marriage is from God and it's a blessing from God. And when you actually put in the work and work at it, there's growth in that. That's what the enemy is constantly trying to destroy it. And by talking to each other, we can make this work as a village. It takes a village. You said something. It's not about finding a better person. It's about finding the right person.
Yeah.
That's important. And all of those things are tools. The thing is, we have access to a bunch of tools, and we're not professionals. I'm not a professional. So I had to reach out to professionals to help me out. And I had to reach out to people to help me out, because I can't do it alone. We can't go at it alone. So I think that that's what's important at the end is that, like, we will never know what could have been. But the one thing that we have to know is that we have a bunch of tools, we have a bunch of resources. We should really use those and we should maximize those and not get caught up, not get caught up into everything that's out there. It's social media, like the pretend. Really be transparent. Be transparent about your situation. Be transparent about your life. I'm not saying go take a mic and
No.
express your frustration, but be transparent. There's always an opportune time. We've had conversations, multiple conversations that helped each other. We've cried together.
We've cried.
We've laughed together. We've been frustrated together, and I've had a good community, and I'm grateful for that because that's really helped me throughout. But use the resources you have around you. This is us trying to speak about things that are very personal to us, but that are true. It's us trying to be transparent and trying to speak about, being open about topics that people don't really technically want to talk about for so many reasons. But then, this is just a start. It's just an open door. Find use the resources and the tools that you have. Therapy was very helpful to me, and it was to you as
Yes,
well.
very much.
So it's never too late to start, and I really encourage you guys to get started. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really encourage you to subscribe if you like what we shared today. This is not the first, like, this is the first time I have someone over, and I think you were the perfect start. And I want you to come back because I think there's so many things we can talk about that we can touch on and that we can relate on. Feel free to subscribe to this channel, and feel free to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from everybody. Whatever you have to say, this is an open platform for you to speak up. And we want to do the same with you. So God bless.